So, hello, I'm Paris.
And I'm Allison.
And today we worked on competition, Jack and Jill's and West Coast Swing. So Jack and Jill is a kind of competition where you get matched up to someone randomly, and you get random music, and you just have to do it.
It's entirely improv, so that means no choreography allowed.
And that also means no costumes allowed, which is good, because you probably would not be able to find the person you want to match with anyway. There's also no lifts or drops, so anything that gets 2 feet off the ground, don't do it. Let's see. My recommendation is you get some nice flowy black pants like these, because it is really easy to fudge your footwork and make sure that even if you are doing everything 100% perfect, if you need that little extra flair, it's there for you. For the top, usually something that is like kind of popular, whatever's modern, something hip. This is a young person's dance, but it really doesn't matter,
Do you see anything from tank tops to blouses to like collared shirt? You've seen people that come in and they might have like a sports bra on and then like a looser top on top of that, something with cutouts, whatever. You want to make sure that all the sensitive body parts are definitely covered. This is a dance, not anything in the red district, but
And you want to make sure you have clean clothes. I see a lot of people who they're practicing a ton right before they go on, and the entire back of their shirt is all sweaty. No judge is going to want to grade you well. Nobody's going to want to touch your back. Make sure that before you go on, you switch out for a nice clean shirt.
And definitely wear deodorant, because nothing is worse than getting paired up with a partner that does not smell the best.
And one thing, since this is West Coast Swing, do not wear a dress. Dress means that you are a Lindy Hopper and that you are not aware of the culture. And one thing they want to make sure, yeah, they want to make sure that you are aware of what dance you are doing. So even if you're West Coast swinging, but with a hop, if it's not the right song to be doing that, you could be out. Judges usually have like 5 to 10 seconds to look at you because they are judging everyone that's on the scene. So make sure that you always have your number facing the judge as much as possible, because if they can't find your number, they're just going to mark you down as not good enough. They only mark the people's numbers down that they like and that they can see. Okay, so there's 3 things that as a newcomer and novice level you're going to be graded on. This is timing, technique, and teamwork. So number 1, timing, make sure you're on time. This also has to do, one thing that'll help this is how much arm you give your partner. So if you're going for a very fast song or a very slow song, make sure that arm is very tight. If it's small, you got these like little short steps that you're doing. If it is a slow song, you make sure that something on you is always moving. You're filling up that space.
Yeah, every step, every movement should take that full beat from start to end. And remember, it's very easy on a slow song to start getting ahead of yourself, especially because there's a full beat between your anchor step and the start of the next step. So you should be doing your 5 and 6 and 1, so that you have that time and you can sink into that stretch, because that is uber important. Anchor steps are the one places that people cheat, and the judges notice right away.
There is a huge difference between someone who is going 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, 1, versus the person who's going 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and 1. It's night and day. So judges can tell how good you are based off of the way you stand, based off of the way you sit. And so 5 seconds will tell them how good your posture is. If you're smiling, great. That's excellent.
Always helpful.
And if you can have basics,
have some expression. Try to look your partner in the face somewhere, or somewhere close to their face. So if you're not comfortable with eye contact, if they're shorter than you can look toward the top of their head. If they're taller than you, maybe their nose or their chin or earlobe. Something that like you're reconnecting back with them both visually and with their hand. If you can linger your head there too a little bit, almost to spot, especially if you're doing turns, it looks a lot nicer.
It's a good segue into technique. So a lot of people might be the kind of people that don't have their heels on the ground. You're going 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Or maybe you're keeping your heels on the ground. The second the spin comes, you think you're a ballerina. Don't do that. For the spins, you want to make sure that your feet are as on the ground as possible. Like you should be able to fit maybe a piece of paper under the back of your foot.
It's not going to be easy to spin flat-footed in general. So if you have to pick up that heel, it's just the slightest bit. So like this is flat, this is slightest bit. This is flat, this is slightest slightest bit. You should barely notice the difference.
And if you find it hard to do that, because I didn't realize what I was missing out on for 7 years, I always dance in sneakers, get some dance shoes. This is the time to do it. You gotta have good quality spins. It's one of the few things.
Yeah, or find ways to modify your shoes to allow that spin. So if you cannot afford dance shoes because they can be expensive, try to find a way of maybe gluing some suede or some felt to the bottom of sneakers or a nice shoe. Or you can use for a quick fix some duct tape just so you have a smoother surface that won't hurt the floor as well. And you only need to do like the front half of the shoe so that you can hold your balance when your heel's down.
One last thing to mention is a lot of time newcomer dancers lean forward because they're constantly pulling and pushing. You are a king. You gotta stand back, stand tall, make sure that back is as flat as you can possibly make it.
If you've done other types of dance before, think about what dance position looks like in those dances. Instead of focusing on dropping your shoulders down, focus on lifting your chest up and presenting yourself to the world. You can still do that in West Coast swing and sit back for what you need to do so that you're not hunched over, you're not leaning forward, you can still stand up straight. Your bend or your weight is going to actually come from like your knees having a slight bend to them.
This is the kind of thing you're gonna want to practice with a mirror because a lot of us do it and we don't even know it.
Yeah. Or have someone videotape you if you don't have access to a mirror.
Last thing is teamwork. So teamwork basically means that when we are dancing together, I'm not looking like I'm solo dancing. I'm not solo dancing with a person connected to me. I'm doing exactly what she asks of me. And if there is time for a flair, you can add it. But only when it's necessary. It should not be all the time because then you're not dancing with your partner.
So if you're a lead or a follow and you're with someone who is much less experienced than you, you don't want to overdance them, you don't want to put them in positions they're not going to be comfortable with. It is much better to have a simple, clean dance with just basics than it is to try to throw in as much flair as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is most of it. So, and make sure you smile. And so that
have fun with it. Especially at a novice and newcomer level, you're going to meet a lot of people with a lot of different skill sets and skill levels that maybe have competed before, maybe haven't competed before, maybe they've been doing for lessons for 5 years and now they decide to compete for the first time, so they're really good. So just take the chance to enjoy the experience and get used to it. Paris was saying that you are allowed to go back and ask judges later once results are posted if there's anything you should work on. That way you can have something to worry about or to think about for the next time you want to try competing.
Absolutely. And then for actual practical stuff that we did, we practiced doing fast, slow, and then blues music. Every once in a while, they'll give you a blues song, and that's when you have to do syncopated stuff. So
it's 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8 type music.
So for your footsteps for a lead, it would probably look like 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. And it's very difficult to do that coaster step. So if you have to do it in place, that is fine. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. Just make sure you get that leg back that you need.
Keeping it small for something like that will definitely benefit you.
And for followers, what you are doing is 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So make sure it's syncopated. As soon as you hear that old-timey music, you gotta syncopate because a lot of times judges go around the room, they say who's doing the syncopation, and then they'll just choose those people.
You are allowed to count in your head. You are allowed to silently mouth the counts if you need to. Do not start counting aloud though, because I've seen people do that. It's cute, it's kind of funny, but you don't, like when judges hear that, they don't think that you're at a level yet where you understand the dance to move on.
Absolutely. And then we did a little bit of starter steps. So starter step is basically tap, step, triple step, anchor step, and you do whatever kind of send out you need to do. And so since we're doing tap steps in the beginning, it's a good way to
get a feel for the beat, connect with that partner.
See what kind of person you're dancing with and make sure that you're on time. Because the number one thing is if you are like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and you're not on time, the judges are gonna count you out.
If there's anything you really hate doing or you have a medical reason of why you might not be able to do a certain step, when you go up to meet that partner for the first time or as you're in that starter step, you can just quickly go, please none of these because it hurts my knees.
And make sure you open up towards the judges. If we're dancing like this, the judges can't really see what we're doing. we're dancing like this. The judges can very clearly see what we are doing.
In this case, you were the judge.
Yes. I think that's mostly it.
Yeah, I basically covered it. Just remember to have fun, and yes, it's a competition, but if you actually have fun doing it and you relax into it, you'll probably have more fun with it and look better to a judge. So try not to stress too much beforehand. Thank you.
Thank you.